for joining me for today's video, a holiday-themed cook and clean with me. In today's video, I'll be making 2 recipes that I tried out for holiday gatherings this season and really loved. Though I made them for Christmas get-togethers, they're both staple recipes that would be good for events or dinners year-round. Both recipes are from the food blog Half-Baked Harvest, which I will link in the description below. I discovered it this year and I am obsessed with all the recipes I've tried so far. I'll be making a cheesy baked mashed potatoes dish and also a brown sugar maple cookie pie with a homemade easy whipped cream. Along the way, I'll be cleaning up my kitchen and talking through my tips for cleaning as you cook to avoid the dreaded pileup of dishes at the end of a long day of cooking. If you're not already subscribed, be sure to click the red subscribe button down below along with the notification bell so you don't miss a future upload. Let's get started. The first recipe I started with was the brown sugar maple cookie pie. This was honestly so simple to make, and I, especially this time around, made it even easier by using a pre-made pie crust. You can make your own pie crust, but I went ahead and just used a preset one, so all I had to make was the filling. Started by browning butter on the stovetop for a few minutes, and then going ahead and mixing the ingredients that made up the pie filling, so eggs, brown sugar, there's some vanilla, some maple syrup, some cream that ends up going in there, and chocolate chips. I have to say, one of the game-changing things for me in cooking and baking over the past few years has been getting a stand mixer. All my life I used a handheld mixer and did not realize how much faster I can cook and bake with a stand mixer because you can leave it alone to do the work for you while you go ahead and prep the next ingredient on the list or the next thing you need to do. So if you are still using a handheld mixer and haven't found a stand mixer you like, I will link the stand mixer that I'm using in this video down in the description below, but cannot say enough good things about having a mixer that can mix while you are doing something else in the kitchen. It really frees up your time to either get something prepared in the recipe ahead or to start cleaning up around you as you go so that you do not have that big pile of dishes at the end. Just like that, the entire pie is done. I popped it in the oven. It bakes for about 50 minutes, more or less depending on how gooey you want the center to be. When you cut into it, it ends up being like a giant chocolate chip cookie. So some people like that a little bit gooier in the middle. Some people like it cooked more thoroughly. I've tried it out both ways. I've made it a couple times now, and it's good no matter how you cook it. So while that was in the oven, I wanted to go ahead and get a head start on cleaning things up. When I am doing multiple recipes, I like to try to clean things up on the counter that I am working on to keep that as neat and tidy as possible. And then I am always filling up the sink with any dishes I have just used, putting some Dawn dish soap in there, letting them soak for a bit so that actually cleaning them up is a faster process. From there, making sure that I am prioritizing any dishes that I'm going to be using more than once. So I mentioned loving the stand mixer. I needed to use that stand mixer bowl about 3 different times and the whisk feature. So I knew I needed to get that started in my dishes first in order to be able to start making my mashed potatoes later to make my whipped cream. So you will see me wash these dishes several times throughout, but it does make it faster, I find, and mentally less overwhelming to kind of clean as I go throughout the cooking process. For the mashed potatoes dish, the first couple steps were just peeling and cutting potatoes and then boiling them on the stovetop. But I really wanted to call out this hack that I have learned, I don't even know where on social media, but if you place a wooden spoon over top of your boiling pot of water, it will not boil over. It prevents it from boiling over. So as you are cleaning, cooking, doing different things in the kitchen, you don't feel like you have to hover over your pot quite as much. And if you are like me, my stovetop has a power boil feature, which can be great, but also can turn on you and boil your pots over really fast. So using this, I did not have to worry about the potatoes as they were cooking on the stove, and I was able to continue getting things ready for further down in the recipe and cleaning up as I was going. Part of what makes this mashed potato dish so good is the sheer amount of cheese that goes into it. There's a lot of cheese, sour cream, butter. It just makes a really creamy, cheesy mashed potatoes dish. So I was putting all of that in, and then I think what gives this dish a ton of flavor is the combination of spices in the recipe. Typically, I would add salt and pepper, but I would never think to add all of these different spices, and it really has a surprising amount of flavor in the end. So do not skimp out on the spices. Make sure you've got all of them if you want to make this recipe. But other than that, mix it all up, mash those potatoes a bit, get all your spices in there, and then it's just pouring it into a dish and then working on the topping after that. I laugh when I think about the transition that has happened in my cooking and baking skills. I used to think it was crazy to make things from scratch, whether it was pancakes or cinnamon rolls. Whipped cream definitely fell into that category. But once I actually started making some of those things from scratch, I realized, one, it's not that hard, and two, how good it is. So here, making a homemade whipped cream for the cookie pie that has come out of the oven. Really easy, really quick. If you've got a stand mixer, even faster, and you don't have to babysit it. It really elevates the pie. This one had vanilla and a little bit of maple syrup to flavor the whipped cream, so it came out really good.
Don't you think that the holiday should be all about love? Mulled wine by the fireplace.
By this point, having made the pie, having made most of the mashed potatoes dish, my kitchen was definitely starting to look a mess. Kind of showing you around it here. I was also getting some holiday presents ready in this video, so the counter was really crowded and dirty. I also dropped some butter on the floor, so I had to go clean that up so that I didn't step in it accidentally. But even doing these little things, cleaning some dishes in the sink, cleaning things on the floor, moving some things off of the countertop as I go will make it easier, and there'll be less cleaning to do after I finish cooking and baking once I am more tired. So really, I am a fan of cleaning as I go throughout the day.
Why don't we make your Christmas my Christmas, our Christmas? Girl, why don't we now?
makes this cheesy mashed potatoes dish out of this world good. The potatoes, like I talked about, actually have good flavors, that's good, but it is the topping that I think sets it over the edge. You crunch up Ritz crackers, put a few spices in, and then basically make a crumble with butter. So very decadent, but really, really good. So here I am creating that crumble to then top, and then you just cover the casserole dish in foil and go ahead and start baking that.
We'll be chilling and having a good time. Doesn't matter if the snow is falling or the wind blows and the rain is pouring. It will always be Christmas in my heart. But this year I wanna hang out with my friends and family, making angels in the sand. You and me. Doesn't matter, it is Christmas in my heart. Can promise Santa's coming to visit. No, he wouldn't miss this in Christmas times. Oh, and the sunset, it is just getting better on a blanket with the skyline painted in blue. Ooh, yeah, that's what we do. We'll be chilling and having a good time. Doesn't matter if the snow is falling or the wind blows and the rain is pouring. It will always be Christmas in my heart. But this year I wanna hang out with my friends and family, making angels.
While the mashed potatoes were baking, I started to clean again. My sink was full with a whole nother round of dishes, so I went ahead and made sure that I got those done again in case there was anything that needed to be used later on. And then I'm also starting to clean off the countertops. Like I mentioned, they were really crowded. I had some gifts that were lined up to be shipped out, and so I didn't do a full countertop cleaning, but I wanted to make sure that I cleaned the area that I was actively working in that had butter smeared on it and just was a mess.
The rain is pouring. It will always be Christmas in my heart. But this year I wanna hang out with my friends and family, making angels in the sand. You and me. Doesn't matter, it is Christmas in my heart.
On this cold December day, we are on our merry way, riding along, just singing a song, barreling through the snow. Bells are jingling, snowflakes tingling, Rudolph knows where to go. On this cold December day, I am piloting my sleigh. The work to be done on my Christmas run is the most tired chore. No girl or boy without a toy, so giddy up, Rudolph, my dear. 8 pair of banners, onwards ever go.
ahead and dried and put away the dishes that were sitting in the drying rack. You can see they're basically the Leaning Tower of Pisa at this point. So I wanted to just get it all cleared off while I was still up, moving about, and had the energy. I feel like on a day where I'm cooking and baking a ton, once I sit down, it is game over. I'm not gonna get back up. So I made sure to tackle that in the moment. And then just wrapping up with what should always be your last step in the cleaning process, vacuuming. That way, any crumbs that fell off of the counter, anything that spilled while I was cooking or baking today, easily cleaned up, and I'm left with a pretty clean kitchen at the end. Both of these recipes, the mashed potato dish and the cookie pie, were huge hits at the events that I took them to. I even ended up making the pie for a second event in December because it got such rave reviews at the first one. So if you are looking for recipes to bring to any events or just to cook for dinner for your family this year, check these ones out. I highly recommend them, and I hope you enjoy if you make them. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.